Imagine stepping into a place where the world tilts, where clocks falter, and entire moments stretch or snap without warning. Some call them glitches, others call them hauntings. But in these places, one truth lingers. You don't know what time it really is, or even when you are. These are the places where time broke, and reality was never quite the same again. In 1901, two women wandered the lush gardens of Versailles, not realizing they were about to step into another century. As they strolled past manicured hedges and crumbling statues, the air grew heavy, and the colors of the world seemed to dull. They noticed strange figures moving around them, men in powdered wigs and women in flowing silk gowns. The scent of fresh ink and ancient perfume seemed to hang in the air. Crossing a stone bridge, they saw a woman sketching under a gnarled tree, her face pale and detached. The whole scene shimmered, as if held together by something fragile. And then it was gone. The gardens snapped back to their familiar modern state. The women would spend the rest of their lives wondering, had they glimpsed the past, or had the past reached out and touched them? Years later, in the quiet village of Versailles, England, a traveler stumbled into something just as strange. Cobblestone streets, thatched roofs, and the scent of roasting meat filled the air. It was as if he had stepped into a medieval fair. Vendors shouted prices for bread and cloth. Children darted between wooden carts. The traveler could almost feel the weight of centuries pressing down on him. And then, without warning, the sounds fell silent. The people vanished. The market stalls dissolved into mist, leaving only empty streets behind. Versailles returned to its sleepy self, and the traveler was left questioning if he'd walked through a living memory, or something even older. The Palace of Versailles holds more than one story of broken time. Decades after the first incident, other visitors reported ghostly scenes of masked balls unfolding in the empty gardens. They described the strains of unseen orchestras and the glitter of long-vanished chandeliers overhead. Soldiers in antique uniforms marched across lawns that had been deserted for centuries. Some even swore they saw grand buildings that no longer stood, flickering briefly into solid form before evaporating like mist. Was Versailles cursed, or was it a wound in time, one that bled old memories into the present? In 1912, two women traveling through Paris found a charming little hotel tucked away on a quiet street. It was a place of heavy velvet curtains, oil lamps, and soft, echoing footsteps on wooden floors. They slept there peacefully, only to return the next day and find the street empty. No hotel, no sign it had ever existed. Authorities insisted no such place had ever been registered. The women insisted otherwise. Somewhere between one night and the next, the building, and perhaps the reality it belonged to, had vanished. On Liverpool's Bold Street, time behaves like a ripple on water, unpredictable and wild. Shoppers have reported stepping into alleyways and emerging into another decade entirely. One man entered a bookstore to find vintage novels stacked high, clerks dressed in post-war fashion, and cash registers that hadn't been used in decades. He bought a shirt from a store that had closed years earlier. When he checked his receipt, it was printed on yellowed paper, stamped with a logo the city hadn't seen in half a century. In Bold Street, the past isn't gone. It's just waiting for someone to accidentally step into it. In the shadowy woods of New Jersey's Pine Barrens, Ong's Hat remains a ghost town wrapped in legend. Locals whisper about secret experiments, attempts to open doors between dimensions. Hikers tell of forest paths that shift underfoot, trees rearranging themselves when no one is looking. Some have glimpsed alternate versions of the settlement, shimmering at the edges of vision. Others describe moments where the sky changes color, the ground feels unfamiliar, and an invisible hand seems to tug them toward a different world. Those who stray too far down the wrong path sometimes never find their way back. At the abandoned RAF Binbrook airfield, time seems forever stuck in the chaos of war. Pilots report hearing phantom engines roaring overhead, only to find the skies empty when they look up. Old radios, long broken, crackle to life with ghostly voices, speaking in the clipped tones of World War II pilots. Static fades into forgotten coordinates and scrambled commands, Sometimes watchers see shadowy figures, soldiers saluting an empty runway, walking toward planes that aren't really there. Here, history isn't remembered. It's relived over and over again. Deep in North Carolina's woods lies a patch of scorched earth called the Devil's Tramping Ground. Nothing grows there, nothing stays inside it for long. Objects left within the barren circle are violently tossed aside overnight. No animals dare cross it. Campers report strange visions, flashes of ancient warriors, ghostly riders galloping through the trees, battles fought in silence just beyond the circle's edge. Here, time isn't linear. It circles and snaps like a live wire, and those who stay too long risk getting caught in its coils. In 1900, the lighthouse keepers of Islay and Moore, a remote island in the Flannan Isles, disappeared without a trace. A relief ship found the lighthouse empty, dinner plates still set, chairs overturned. The clocks inside had all stopped at the exact same time, 9:15. There were no signs of a struggle, no evidence of a storm, just the endless howl of wind and waves against the cliffs. Some say the men were swept away by the sea. Others believe they stepped, willingly or not, into another place altogether, leaving their world behind. In 1923, the Brazilian village of Rio Verde vanished almost overnight. When soldiers arrived, they found fires still burning, meals abandoned mid-bite, and tools dropped where workers once stood. There were no signs of violence, no bodies, just a chilling message scrawled across a schoolhouse blackboard: there is no salvation. Some blame political conflict. Others whisper of a rift in time, one that swallowed the village whole, leaving nothing but a warning for those who came after. What if time isn't a river, but a fragile net stretched too thin over reality? What if certain places tear that net open, and if you step through, you might never find your way back? There are still corners of the world where clocks stop ticking, footsteps echo through empty streets, and memories replay themselves in endless broken loops. If you ever find yourself somewhere where the air thickens, where reality bends and time seems to hesitate, don't look too closely. Because sometimes when time breaks, it's not just the past that comes through. Sometimes something else does too.